Did you know your body naturally produces a molecule that research suggests can help support wound healing, stimulate collagen production, and has shown some pretty wild anti-aging effects in clinical studies? Here's the crazy part. When you're 20 years old, you have plenty of it. Your body is basically a repair machine. But by the time you hit age 60, those levels naturally decline by over half. That molecule is GHK-Cu, and the research on it is fascinating. This video is for educational and informational purposes only, and not medical advice. GHK-Cu is not FDA approved for human use, and long-term studies are thin. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional before starting any peptide or medical therapy. Alright, you may be asking, what is GHK-Cu? Let's break this down like we're looking at a microscope together. GHK-Cu is basically a tiny molecule made of two distinct parts. The first part is called GHK. In science speak, that's a tripeptide. Think of peptides like short chains of amino acids, and amino acids are just the building blocks of life. Your body uses them to build everything from muscle to skin. GHK is made from three specific blocks: glycine, histidine, and lysine. When you link those three together in that exact order, you get GHK. The second part is copper. Now, I'm not talking about the copper in a penny or a pipe. We're talking about ionic copper, the essential mineral your body actually needs to survive. Your heart, your brain, and your skin all need copper to function. In biochemistry, when GHK grabs onto a copper atom, it becomes GHK-Cu, or a copper-binding tripeptide. Think of GHK as a highly specialized delivery truck, and the copper is the precious cargo. Without the truck, the copper can't get where it needs to go. With the truck, it gets delivered directly into your cells to start the repair process. Now here's the part that catches most people's attention. Your body already makes this stuff naturally. It's floating around in your blood, your saliva, even your urine right now. But here's the catch. When you're 20, you have about 200 nanograms per milliliter in your blood. By the time you're 60, that number drops to around 80. You're losing more than half of your body's natural repair signal as you age. Many researchers believe this natural drop is a huge reason why we don't heal as fast as we get older. You know how a 5-year-old scrapes their knee and it's gone in 2 days, but a 70-year-old takes 2 weeks? This molecule might be a big piece of that puzzle. So, who figured this out? Back in 1973, Dr. Lauren Pickart was studying human blood samples and noticed something that looked like science fiction. He took old liver cells that were essentially slowing down and dying and put them in a solution containing blood from young people. To his surprise, those old cells started acting young again. They started producing proteins and functioning with the energy of a cell 40 years younger. He spent years digging deeper and eventually found that GHK was the specific signaling molecule causing that reset effect. Since that discovery, scientists have been studying GHK-Cu like crazy. Today, you can find it in a ton of high-end skincare products, like those blue-tinted fancy serums and creams. But if you spend any time in the biohacking or longevity communities, you know a lot of people aren't satisfied with just rubbing it on their skin. There's a lot of talk about systemic or injectable versions. Now, we have to be very real here. There is a massive difference between a face cream and an injectable peptide. While topical GHK-Cu has a decades-long track record of safety, injectable versions exist in a major regulatory gray area. In the US, the FDA has categorized many peptides as Category 2, meaning they haven't gone through the rigorous human clinical trials required to be sold as a medicine or supplement for injection. Most of what you'll see online is sold for research purposes only. Some people take that risk because they want that molecule to enter the bloodstream instantly without having to fight through the layers of the skin, essentially speeding up the process. Quick side note. If you're just beginning your peptide journey or simply want to understand the science better, I've put together a free beginner's guide that covers the supplies I use and the exact steps to get started safely. If you're interested, the link will be in the description of this video. It's where I go when I need to ensure the purity and quality are actually there for my own projects. Now let's get back to it. You may be wondering what it's actually doing once it gets inside. First, as we mentioned, it's a copper delivery system. Your body needs copper to make collagen, fight off pesky molecules that damage cells, and produce cellular energy. But copper is tricky. Too much of it in the wrong place can actually be toxic. GHK-Cu acts as the safe escort, dropping the copper off exactly where it's needed without causing oxidative stress. Second, and this is the part that blew my mind when I first heard it can actually turn genes on and off. Researchers found that GHK-Cu affects the expression of at least 4,000 human genes. Imagine your DNA is like a giant library of books. As we age, some of the repair books get dusty and closed, while the inflammation books stay wide open. GHK-Cu essentially walks into that library and starts opening the repair books and closing the inflammation books. In lab studies, this resulted in boosted collagen production, the growth of new blood vessels, and a massive reduction in inflammatory markers. All right, beyond what you've heard online, what has the science actually demonstrated when it comes to real-world results? Let's look at the potential benefits of GHK-Cu. Wound healing. Scientists have tested GHK-Cu on rabbits and rats to see how they recover from injuries. In one specific rat study, a GHK-Cu cream reduced wound size by 64.5%, compared to just 28.2% in the group that didn't use it. Now, keep in mind some things I can't say on here because of YouTube's guidelines, but there was also a published case report about a medical director who used GHK-Cu protocols before and after skin surgery. And let's just say the director healed significantly. But remember, a case report is just an observation of one person, not a full-scale clinical trial. Skin health. This is where the most human data exists. In a 12-week human study, topical application was associated with much firmer skin and increased collagen density. Beyond the labs, the anecdotal data from the biohacking world is massive. People report major improvements in skin snap and elasticity. Hair and cellular research. In test tube settings, GHK-Cu is being studied for its ability to block the factors that cause hair follicles to shrink. But perhaps the most fascinating and controversial area is apoptosis, or programmed cell death. In lab settings, there was a specific mouse model study where researchers combined GHK-Cu with high doses of vitamin C. What they observed was a synergistic effect. It's like the vitamin C and the GHK-Cu were working as a team, helping the body's natural systems identify and slow down the growth of abnormal tumor cells. But, and this is a huge but, I have to be incredibly clear. These are early findings from animals and labs. There are 0 human clinical trials showing GHK-Cu treats or prevents cancer. Do not, I repeat, do not take this exploratory research as evidence that GHK-Cu is a cure for anything. Science is a slow process, and we are still in the early stages. Now, while the potential benefits of GHK-Cu are significant, we need to be prepared for the potential risks and side effects that come with it. First, copper toxicity. Your body has a very strict limit for how much copper it can handle. If you're using high-concentration systemic versions without supervision, you risk exceeding those limits. We're talking about stomach distress, fever, or a weird metallic taste in your mouth. Second, the angiogenesis concern. This is the big one scientists talk about. GHK-Cu promotes angiogenesis, which is the growth of new blood vessels. While that's amazing for healing a cut, it's a theoretical nightmare for anyone with an active tumor. Why? Because tumors also need blood vessels to grow. The current scientific consensus is that if you have a history of cancer, you should stay far away from systemic GHK-Cu until we have more data. Lastly, the copper uglies. If you use too much GHK-Cu or use it too often, some users report their skin looking worse, thinner, or irritated. This is usually temporary, but it's a sign that your skin's repair signals are being overclocked. And it's important to note that this doesn't just happen with face creams. Research shows it can happen with the injectable version too, because the molecule is signaling your entire body to break down old collagen. If your body breaks it down faster than it can rebuild it, you get that temporary, deflated look. Your body's smart, and this is its way of telling you to slow down. Also, if you have Wilson's disease, a rare disorder where your body can't clear copper, GHK-Cu is not safe for you. It's also a no for anyone pregnant or breastfeeding, simply because we have zero safety data for those groups. Bottom line, the research on GHK-Cu is undeniably strong. In lab settings and animal models, it demonstrates incredible potential for tissue recovery. But it's more than just a surface-level fix. We're talking about a molecule that research suggests can support the health of your nerves, your lungs, and even your bone density. With that being said, there's still a massive divide in how you use it. Topical GHK-Cu has a decades-long track record of safety and is widely available. On the other hand, injectable GHK-Cu remains in that regulatory gray area. With the lack of long-term human trials, the risks of self-administering are real. My goal here wasn't to tell you what to do, but to give you the data so you can make an informed choice yourself. Always do your own research, talk to a functional medicine professional if you're going beyond skin creams, and stay safe out there. If you enjoyed this deep dive into GHK-Cu or have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one.